it's funny that, you hold up a pencil and they're talking about AI and the very technological world. I work with a stick with hair at the end of it, or a pencil and a piece of paper. I mean, it couldn't be more lacking of technology. But I love that aspect of it. My name is Paton Miller. For the last 45 years or so, I've been living in Southampton, New York. Came here when I was 21 years old and raised my family here, my wife and I. I am the son of an airline pilot. My father was a World War II aviator, and pretty much it was understood that the door was something to walk out of and to go explore the world. And when I was 20 years old, I had 1 year to use free tickets for my father from the airline that he worked for. So as a 20-year-old, I embarked on a trip that took me a year. From leaving Honolulu, I went west to the Philippines, then Hong Kong, mainland China, Thailand, India, Nepal, Iran, and I kept moving west until I finally ended up here in Southampton, well, JFK, with the decision to be made, do I come out to Southampton to see a family friend who I knew from Hawaii? She had said, when you get to New York, come and see me. Almost on the flip of a coin, instead of just going back to Honolulu, I came out here. And she said, go visit the college. This was in Southampton College, was where Stony Brook is now. And I happened to run into the head of the art department. And his name was Don Kirka. And he's 90-some years old right now. And I just wrote him a letter saying, I just want to thank you, Don, because if it wasn't for your curiosity, I would have gone back to Honolulu. We got to talking, and he goes, oh, I'd like to see those drawings of Asia that you did. And so I said, okay, I'll come back the next day. And I went back the next day, showed him the drawings, and he said, do you want to go to college here? And I said, I have $40 and a ticket to Honolulu. And he said, no, I mean to compete for a scholarship. And by the time I graduated in 1978, I started exhibiting in New York City. And a career was born. This area out here is pretty fascinating with that. I found myself in de Kooning's studio and sitting in those rocking chairs of these big rocking chairs are famous or iconic from his studio. But in 1974, when I first got here, I was surfing on one of the local Southampton beaches. And this young guy my age, asked me who I was, and I said, I'm Paton Miller, and I'm a student of art at the college. And he goes, oh, my dad's an artist. And I said, what's his name? He said, Roy Lichtenstein. And I said, never heard of him. And it's true, I hadn't. In 1974, Roy was well known in New York, but not so well known in Honolulu, unless you worked in a museum or something. So his name is David. And Dave and I are still friends. He lives in California now, but he's here visiting family, and we were surfing today. The thing that I've been doing for 20 years is using bits and pieces of old canvas to paint the background, but I'm not painting the background, I'm doing inlay work. This is cut around the figure here. This is a funny story. This drawing here, when my kids were young, we'd take long car trips, and I would ask them to draw, but they would get bored drawing in 5 minutes. So we made a game where they would tell me what to draw, and they would love to see what would happen. So every single one of these things, like here's a tree with, I can't remember, like melon heads or something. Here's a chicken with a bull's head. I was a bad student all the way through high school, and the problem was, I don't think it was from a lack of brains, it was just because I hated being stuck in a chair. But when I would draw, I could spend hours drawing. And my family were, God bless them, they were very supportive of, when I was young, they took pride in my drawings. They showed them to their friends. And so I got encouragement from the beginning. I remember starting out. I went to my family in Honolulu, and at this point I had dropped out of high school. I had gotten a GED. They didn't know quite what to make of it because my father was an aviator, my mother was a chemist. So all of a sudden I was really good at something. I was a good student. I wasn't a bad student. I'd been a bad student my whole life. Now I was a good student, and it felt good. I had a sense of pride about what I was doing. These are, my wife's a beekeeper, and these are beekeeping frames that bees make honey on, and I made a whole series of these. You know, as life goes on, you do lose people, and you know, both my parents and my brother have passed away, and you don't know that it's hard until later when you look back on it. But for me, I remember being an artist during that period of time was hard because the works changed dramatically. And in a way, it's the final gift that you get from people passing away, is the gift of grief, which is sometimes, like I said before, great art comes from that. I hate that because I'd rather great art came from a great joke. As an artist, you are in the trees, you don't see the forest. A lot of it is unknown. You don't know what's going on. You just do your work. Yeah, it's still a mystery to me, and that's good. I'm happy about that. The question is, what advice would I give to an artist, and what have I learned? And I actually have thought about this, and if anyone would listen to me, which no one does, I would tell them, work hard a lot, but band together and have shows in the most unlikely places. You're stronger together as a group. Don't sit and wait for the world to come to you. Make something happen, and the world will come to you.